Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Benchwarmer Sports Podcast. I'm Raffi, your host, as always, joined by Davian. Davian, we are only a couple days away from the start of the NFL season. When this podcast comes out, it will be officially the NFL season. Davian, I see you're licking your chops right now. Are you excited to watch the Patriots go 2-15?
Hey. It's a new team. We have Drake May as our QB1, and he's looked phenomenal during training camp. Um, Look, I think we'll do better than last year. I think people are really writing us off, and we're not going to write back. We're going to write back. Um, you know, I expect the Patriots to do very well, and you will see that in my prediction that I make. But Rafi, are you excited to go a mediocre 8-9 again, even though you have a new coach?
After all the additions that they've made this offseason, if they go 8-9, Davian, I will be at a loss for words. It would be the most Falcons thing ever. Like, don't get me wrong, and it would be so memed upon, and it'd be hilarious. But if they go 8-9, I, I you'd have to assume the worst thing happened. That's a bunch of players got injured. I can't. I tried my best.
Yeah,
Well, and we'll get into our predictions shortly. I tried my best to be impartial and not be too biased with the Falcons. But even so, I'm a little scared about my prediction for the Falcons because they have such a easier schedule, and after beefing up the defense, if Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts don't have good years this year, and the Falcons wind up going 8-9, at that point, I say just dissolve the franchise. I don't know. That's my resolution. I need at least one team to do well. The Cubs have been mid. The Blackhawks are still bad, but you know what? It's Connor Bedard. I need the Falcons to just give me some sense of happiness.
I see. So you're just desperate and down bad, and really hope that the Falcons go 10-8 this year.
They can't
I
go ten and
mean,
eight this year,
uh,
David. Unless you say they're
you know
going
what?
10-7 and losing the wild card, in which that's completely feasible.
No. They're going 10-7. I'm sorry. I always forget that they. I thought they added one more extra week because I remember they were about to do that and they didn't. So that's my bad.
Well, you know what,
Um,
David? We're talking about the Falcons, so we might as well just get right into the NFC side of things. Davian, how does your NFC South shape up? Because I had the Falcons going 12-5. I tried my best to not be too biased. I think 12-5 is reasonable. 11-6 also completely like I expect them to win at least 10 games where they top out
yeah,
maybe like 12, 13 wins. Because I can't see them. I don't see them going and competing with the Niners and Eagles and Lions in that tier. But I think they're in that next tier alongside teams like the Packers, the Rams, the Cowboys, etc.
yeah. I'm gonna say that I think that this Falcons team is still very young, and I'm concerned about how Kirk Cousins comes back from his injury. So I didn't do exact I know last year I did it, but this year I don't know, just kind of slipped my mind. I just didn't do the exact record, so I'll give you just my rankings of what I have. I have the Bucks, Falcons, Saints, Panthers. Look, I think this Falcons team is going to make the playoffs. I will be, as much as I was just, joking about them, I do think it's a very, very solid team. I do think they make the playoffs. As for the Saints, they're a solid team. Maybe they make it they sneak into the wild card, but I haven't seen enough improvement. Their cap space, their cap room is still a huge issue to the point where they can't really do that. They can't make moves in free agency, right? And drafting is good and all, but you have to wait for those guys to develop because that's just the way the NFL works. As for the Panthers, again, they got a better season than last year, but still an extremely young team. Still have a lot to work on. And I haven't, maybe Bryce Young makes that second year massive jump, but as of now, I really just don't see it.
Yeah, honestly, I get there's the Saints do have some interesting players that they picked up defensively, Tyrann Mathieu and Chase Young to name two guys. But I have the Saints actually at 5-12. They have good pieces, but a lot of their best pieces are getting older and older. So at some point you'd expect like some sort of fall off. And then let's be honest, Derek Carr. I've been on the Derek Carr train for a while, but I think we just need to call what it is. He's very mid. I have the Saints going 5-12 record wise. Panthers I have 2-15. The Bucks I have just missing the playoffs at 10-7. I It was between them and the Cowboys. We can go to the NFC East next, but I trust Baker Mayfield. I know you were high on Baker Mayfield last year, and they haven't changed too much. They brought back Baker Mayfield. They made sure Mike Evans stuck around, and I think they're once again an underrated team. I wouldn't be shocked if they made the playoffs. I wouldn't be shocked if they wound up winning the division in the NFC South, just because they still have a lot of good pieces on that defense. But I right now I have the Falcons, Bucks, Saints, and then the Panthers. Let's move on, as I mentioned and as I said, to the NFC East. And here I have the Eagles at 14-3, being the second seed in the NFC, followed by the Cowboys picking up the seventh seed at 10-7. And then I have the Giants and Commanders both at 4-13. And I expect Commanders, young team, Jane Daniels should be very solid. But again, do the Commanders have the pieces? And then vice versa, the Giants, they have the pieces, but some pieces, but they don't have a quarterback. The offensive line still concerns me. So I think both teams sit around 4-13. They sit in the bottom five of the NFL this year, and I think there's some growth that can occur, but I don't see either team really competing for a playoff spot.
Wait, one sec. So did you say Commanders, then Giants, or Giant, or the who finishes last in the NFC East for you?
I have them tied at 4-13. I have the Giants ahead of them
Really?
by tiebreaker, but I can see. I think the Commanders are probably going to be ahead of the Giants.
I just want to say, like, this Commanders team, I think, is a lot better on paper than people make them out to be. Like, they have a very solid defense, right? And Jaden Daniels is a solid QB. There's a reason why he was just named captain of the team, and I will use that argument of being named captain of the team as a rookie in my further later on in this video again. But again, I think that this Commanders team is much more solid than this Giants team, which I look, they don't have a running back core, right? Devin Singletary is a good running back, but he's not an RB1 material. Daniel Jones, it's his do or die year to prove himself, but given given how he performed in the preseason, I don't see that happening. And I know that Theodore would hop on, because Theodore's not here, I feel more open to saying this. This Giants team just all around sucks, and there's no other way of putting it. And clip me, put me on the TikTok, freezing cold take. But look, it's just true. Look at them on paper. Yes, on defense, they're very, very good, especially with the addition of Brian Burns. But their offense just stinks. It doesn't matter how good your wide receiver core is if your QB can't if the QB can't get the ball to them. Daniel Jones is a bad QB, and you will see a new QB in New York City next year. And, it might be for the both teams. You never know if Aaron Rodgers stays or not, but we could get to that discussion later. And I will say that if you're a Giants fan and you're, scared of tanking, I would say this past week of college football really kind of showed that there's a lot of QBs out there to, potentially pick up. So I wouldn't be too worried if I'm a Giants fan. The Giants end up tanking, but I do see that happening. I don't think this Giants team is good. I could keep rambling on about this, but let's hop over to the NFC North. Raffi, I'll kick us off with this. I like this Bears team. I really do. I think Caleb Williams is a proven
We
product.
did this last year. We did this
There's a
last year.
reason why Caleb Williams is a number one. Went number one. There's a reason why he was named captain of the team, and for that reason, I have the Bears finishing first in the NFC North, followed by the Lions, then the Packers, bottom off by the Vikings. Vikings, I think it's just said it's really unfortunate that JJ McCarthy got injured, but Sam Darnold as your QB1 kind of speaks for itself. Packers, great team. I think they might even be able to squeak into the playoffs, and just be the third. It'll be a three teams coming out of the NFC North making the playoffs, but I just don't really see it. Lions, also very good team, but the Bears are going to finish off number one in the division. I think the Bears are going to do just really well against these division matchups. I think that they stack up against the Lions and the Packers very well together. So if it ends up being a tiebreaker, I think the Bears end up getting it. And, this will definitely be wrong, but the Bears all the way. Well, not all the way. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they're gonna
Remember
win.
last year when you had the Bears in the NFC Championship game, Davian?
You know what? But I'm not putting them in an NFC Championship game, so I'm better than I was last year. All right.
Oh,
Okay,
you
and
do.
I didn't know Justin Fields. Wait, Justin Fields got injured last year. All right, so you
Okay,
can't
okay,
blame me.
okay. Back to
Actually, I don't think he actually got injured, but I'm just gonna make that excuse that he did get injured.
bringing us back down to reality. I have the Lions at 13-4, followed by the Packers at 12-5.
Oh,
I have the
so
Bears. I
boring.
do have the Bears being much better than last year. Actually, kind of better than last year. I have them 8-9. I think they're going to take steps. In addition to Keenan Allen, they're going to have a full year. What was it? Jonathan Allen? Was it Allen or Payne? They brought in someone from the Commanders. They're going to have a full year of him. I'm blanking on his name, but he was really good for them at the end of the year after they acquired him at the trade deadline. And then I have the Vikings at 4-13. No JJ McCarthy. Justin Jefferson's going to have a great year. You have TJ Hawkinson. The defense is all right, but again, with Sam Darnold, there's no way the Vikings are going to do very well. So I have Lions, Packers, Bears, and Vikings. The Packers proved to me last year that you know the NFL runs through the Chiefs and Packers, and no matter what happens, the Packers are going to have a franchise quarterback. It's one of the three guarantees in life, alongside death and taxes. So I expect the Packers to have another good year. We'll see though, because the Packers' kicking situation is really concerning. So if they don't get their kicking figured out, then they're gonna lose a couple of close games, or at least
I
it'll bite them
wouldn't
in the
write
butt
off a
later.
team on a kicking situation. Like
I'm
if
just
that's
saying,
your
I have them at 12-5. I'm just saying, like they could lose a
yeah,
couple of
yeah,
crucial
yeah. No,
games down
I'm
the
just
stretch or in
yeah.
the playoffs due to some poor kicking. Obviously, right now in a 17 game season, probably not gonna
Yeah.
hurt them, but I think it might bite them in the butt
Look,
later
I mean,
on.
this look. I'm not gonna. I will say this Packers team. I do see them potentially going 12-5, especially given that they made an upgrade in their running
Right?
backfield with Josh Jacobs. But I'm just too confident on the Bears to uh, argue that the Packers could somehow do well because I think the Lions are a better team than the Packers. Just me personally. I think all around on defense, all around on offense, better wide receiver core by far. Um, I don't feel like the Packers yes, Christian Watson's good and all, but I still feel the Packers lack that like true number one superstar wide receiver, which a lot of teams do lack, and they still do well. But to really get over that hump and really compete against playoff level teams, you really need someone like that. And
Right.
so that's why I just think the Lions are better than Packers. But we could have that discussion all day as well. I think
Yeah.
this next division's fairly easy to grade. So Rafi, I'm gonna kick it off to you, and I'm gonna cross my fingers. I think we have the same list here.
All right. Well, let's see. I have the Niners as the 1 seed, getting the bye at 14-3, followed by
Okay.
the LA Rams at 11-6, getting to the playoffs.
Okay.
I have the Seahawks at 6-11, and I have the Cardinals also at
What?
6-11.
Okay. Close. I had 49ers, Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks.
I
So
expect the Cardinals with Marvin Harrison Jr. and a healthy Kyler Murray to certainly be better than they were last year. I don't
right,
know how
exactly, yeah.
much better. Again, my prediction, I have them at 6-11. They very well could get into that 7-8 win tier if things go really well for them. I think they have a solid
Yeah.
roster as a whole. Trey Benson and James Conner in that backfield. Trey Benson is a potential breakout rookie candidate. I like their offensive line, what they've done so far, and again, they have a half decent defense too. But again, the way the math worked out for me, I have both teams at 6-11. Geno Smith has plenty of targets in his offense, picking up like they obviously already had Noah Fant. The offensive line is slowly getting better, slowly but surely. And with the offensive weapons, I think Geno Smith should have a good year, but I'm a bit concerned. Like I just don't know if he's gonna do it again. Like I know he had the whole like, oh, they wrote me off, I didn't write back whole, and that was awesome. I had him in fantasy, so I was reaping the benefits, but I'd like to see him show that he could do it again. And if I get beaten by Geno Smith and he takes the Seahawks to the playoffs, I'm more than happy to saying that I was wrong and I was down on the Seahawks. Because if Geno Smith can put up the numbers he put up last year with the talent he has around him, then I wouldn't be shocked if the Seahawks surprise a lot of people and are a fringe wildcard team.
Yeah. Um no, I can see where you're coming from in that sense, but yeah, I mean I agree with you. I think the Cardinals are a much better team than they were. Um I guess let's hop over to the AFC, or do you want to say NFC Championship winner now?
Let's go. Let's go NFC Championship. So I have, as I pull this up very quickly, I believe, if I remember correctly, I had the Lions taking on the San Francisco 49ers, and I had the Detroit Lions beating the San Francisco 49ers, avenging their loss
I have
from last year and
yeah.
going to the Super Bowl for the first time.
I have the Lions beating the Eagles in the NFC Championship.
Oh boy, do you realize what we've done? Because they've improved their defense. They've made a couple moves to improve that defense more. They've improved the secondary slightly,
Yeah.
which was their big concern last year, obviously, especially when they got torched by the Niners in the second half. Sorry for the PTSD. But I feel like everyone's high on the Lions, which concerns me because, again, we all remember my whole take on the Chargers where I was like, well, they're cursed, though. And that turned out to be true. The Lions, another team, another cursed franchise. Can I rely on the Lions to go to the Super Bowl? Can I bank on that? I'm gonna say yes, and I'm just
I'm
gonna.
not betting on it, but I think what happens, like the lines, like look, I think what people don't understand about the playoffs, like yes, it's the best team usually makes it to the Super Bowl, but a lot of it comes down to the matchups. And I think once you stack up the matchups, the lines against the 49ers, the lines against the Cowboys, or whoever they need whatever their road is towards facing the Eagles in the NFC Championship, I think you'll see that like 1-1, they stack up against them very well. I think if you compare the lines as a whole to the entire NFC, yeah, I mean, of course, I think that the Eagles and 49ers might do better than them ranking wise. But I still even look, I'm saying the Lions are going to win the NFC Championship, even though they will be a wild card team. Because that's how much confidence I have in them going into the playoffs, right? Because I have the Bears, of course, winning the division.
I think what bit them in the butt last year was just being a teeny too over aggressive, especially in that Niners game, which bit them in the butt. And if they can just tone that down just a tad, still keep the aggressive nature, but just not go full throttle, I think they've learned from last year. We all have heard my spiel about I think you need to suffer a little bit in the playoffs before you go on a deep run. They're experienced now. They've had that deep run under the belt, and I expect big things for the Lions this year. Jared Goff has shown in back-to-back years that he's a top 15 for sure. Could make the argument that he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. So I'm going to bank on the Lions this time, learning from last year and punching their ticket to the Super Bowl. Moving over to the AFC, let's start off with the AFC West. I have, because I feel like this is probably the easiest to predict, I have the Chiefs, 1 seed in the AFC, nothing crazy there, 14-3, followed by a whole lot of mid. I have the Raiders at 8-9. Actually, I like their defense overall. Devontae Adams is still good. I expect Brock Bowers to have a big year.
What?
Zamir White also potentially. I really like. I also picked him in fantasy too, so I'm hoping that he has a good year. And then followed by the Raiders, I have the Chargers at 4-13, and then the Broncos at 3-14.
Rafi, I just want to ask you a question. Who's the Raiders QB?
That is an excellent question.
I just looked this up because I wanted to make sure I was right when I'm saying this. It's Gardner Minshew.
Yeah. Did you see what happened last year? Look what happened last year with the Colts.
Bring them to an 8-9 record?
Look what happened with the Colts last year. Gardner Minshew has a little swagger in him.
No,
hey, I'm not
the
saying,
Colts are so much of a better team, man.
I'm
This is
not
a
saying
bottom
the Raiders,
league feeder team. The Raiders are going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Period, man. Like, there's no way of going about it. This team, defensively, are getting old. Max Crosby's, he's good, but he's no longer, as young as he was. Overall, that team is just not built well. Running back-wise, you went from Josh Jacobs to Zamir White, and somehow they're going to do better than they did last year? Well, I don't remember their record last year. But again,
I like their Christian Wilkins.
I love Antonio Pierce. He's an amazing coach, but he's not getting them there. He doesn't have the talent to get them to an 8-9.
But you know who he isn't? Josh McDaniels. And also, I really like the addition of Christian Wilkins on that defensive line.
I am better than Josh McDaniels, and I'm saying this as a Patriots fan, and I thank him for bringing us, really helping the offense, which was, of course, just really Tom Brady. But again, like he's not a good coach, and we knew that, and we saw that. But I don't think a coaching change. Yes, it brought a lot of momentum to the team, and they were doing really well to the point where they almost made it. But I don't see it. I really don't see it. And so here's my rankings. I got the Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders. The Chargers are just mid. They're just mediocre. Raiders, I already explained. Broncos, let me explain to you why. I think this team has been very well put together. And the fact that now they have the pieces necessary around Bo Nix to make him a good QB, starting QB. And there's a reason, again, why he was named captain. They believe in him. And, it's not like, oh, well, they had nobody else to believe in. Well, I'd actually say that's true because their backup's Zach Wilson. But either way, point is, Bo Nix has proven himself over in training camp, and I think it will show. Will they make it to the playoffs? I don't know. Maybe they'll squeak in, but it's Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders. I'm going to hop over to the AFC South.
Real quick before we hop over there, I just want to mention, too, the fact that the Broncos held on to Courtland Sutton in that potential trade with the Niners and Steelers over Brandon Ayuk, I think that does speak to Bo Nix and how they believe in him. And if they traded Courtland Sutton, you're throwing to Josh Reynolds and Marvin Mims Jr. Like the weapons are just absolutely stupid. So I do agree with you. I do think that has to say them holding on to Courtland Sutton has something to say about Bo Nix, because if they're just punting on this year, they probably would have traded him for like a third round pick. But yes, continue the conversation. Give me your AFC South predictions.
Yeah, so the AFC South, I think this is an amazing division. I think each team is so young and so competitive. Each team has like a young QB. You have, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Trevor Lawrence, and Will Levis. Will Levis, I think, is slowly proving himself. Trevor Lawrence, it's kind of his make or break a year. Let's be honest, right? This guy was a QB1, like number one pick in the draft, and I just haven't seen that number one pick. Like here and there, you see flashes, but you haven't seen him like really stand out. He needs to do well this year. Yes, he's gotten a massive contract, but he could easily be on the chopping block, the trading block. And I don't think he really wants to get traded, because once he gets traded, then things get tough for him. So here are my rankings for the year for the AFC South: Texans, Colts, Jags, Titans. Texans are just the best team in the AFC South. There's no debate over that. I'm not going to go into this. The Colts, really good team. Anthony Richardson back. The sky's the limit for them. Like, I could see them being better than the Texans, but I think that Anthony Richardson, yes, he did play those first few games and he did play really well, but he's going to have to adjust to playing with them again. I think that C.J. Stroud and Texans just take off and never land back down. Then finally, then I have the Jags. I think the Jags and Titans, they might flip-flop. I think these teams are good, but I think just in general that they aren't better than the Texans and the Colts. So that's my take. I rambled a lot. Raffi, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I got the Texans at first two at 12-5, followed by the Jags at 10-7, Colts at 8-9, and then I excuse me. Sorry, Titans fan. I have Titans at 2-15. I don't see it with the Titans. Jaguars, I do like. They did lose Calvin Ridley. But again, like, I wouldn't bet on him having a big impact regardless if he was on the Jaguars. No pun intended. There was a pun intended there. But they replaced him with Gabe Davis. Brian Thomas Jr., call it LSU wide receiver vibe, but I have good vibes from him. Travis Etienne. The big concern with the Jaguars last year, and the reason why they collapsed after starting the season 8-3, was because the offense never clicked. And this year, you have to imagine it clicks for the Jaguars. You have to imagine it was a down year. We saw what they could be literally the year before. So I think the Jaguars throw away last year, return to your form. If the offense gets clicking, I think the Jaguars will be a really good team. I also like the pickup of Arik Armstead as well to beef up that defensive line. And worst case, Davian, if Trevor Lawrence has a bad year, I know they paid him a ton, but they literally have Mac Jones just waiting there too. Former first-round pick, so I think he can definitely step in and win.
They do. No, he was good at the Patriots until, he got ruined by the offensive coaching. But, hey, they do have a good backup.
I have the Jaguars at 10-7, but funny enough, I have the Jaguars actually missing the playoffs. And we'll get into that right now. Actually, no, I want to hold off because we'll get into the AFC East because I think that will be really fun to get into. But first, let's take a quick stop and go to the AFC North. Here I have the Ravens at 13-4 as the 2 seed, the Bengals as the 5 seed as at 12-5. I have the Browns at 9-8, and then I have the Steelers at 7-10. I would like to put the Steelers. I had the Steelers originally at like 4-13, but I was like, okay, like I can't hate Arthur Smith that much, so I helped prop them up a little bit. But this whole quarterback dilemma.
Wait, you got the Steelers finishing under 500?
Yes, yes, I have them not winning 8 games this year and not winning 9 games. So that is,
Wow.
I know
Yeah.
another guarantee, but this guarantee I'm throwing
Bold.
out the window. Yeah, Arthur
That's
Smith
bold.
is going to line up Pat Fryermuth at like running back and try Najee Harris as an offensive lineman because he's very
Yeah.
weird. I'm nothing. He seems like a great guy, but bro was not able
Yeah,
to
he's not a good coach.
run an offense for the life of him the last couple of years for the Falcons.
Yeah. I completely agree with you with those rankings. I don't think we need to go more into it. Did we go over the NFC?
Wait, sorry, one sec.
The
I want
AFC
to
East.
I want to get your take though, real quick. Who do you think is going to start more games, Justin Fields or Russell Wilson?
Ooh. Russell Wilson, man. Like, they traded for him. You know, it's different. Like, I feel like they trade for him, and they really want to use him. And it's going to be, and given his contract and everything, I see them using Justin Fields like a Taysom Hill style type package. Except he's like a bit smaller, so I don't know how that would exactly work. But yeah, I just see Russell Wilson starting more games. What do you think, Rafi?
I think Russell Wilson, but if he starts showing some bad signs, then I wouldn't be shocked if they go over to Justin Fields.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Yeah.
All right. I want to hear your thoughts on the AFC East before I give my prediction because this is I had a lot of fun with this one. I had a lot of fun going back and forth on who I thought was gonna be in the playoffs, what the records were gonna be for this division, who's gonna sit slot where. So I want to hear your thoughts first as the Patriots fan, because we both know the Patriots aren't making the playoffs.
Hey, let me tell you about this Patriots team. It's young. They're got a new coach. It's a new culture at this team. Don't write off the New England Patriots. With that said, I have the Jets finishing first in the division, followed by the Patriots, followed by the Dolphins, followed by the Bills. The Bills are going to choke this year. Without Stephon Diggs, there's clearly a toxic energy within this Bills locker room. I don't think they do well. The Jets, it's do or die for them. They're going to trade for Devontae Adams by the time the trade deadline comes around. They're going to reunite him with Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to go off. And I hate the Jets. I absolutely despise the Jets. But what I will say is this Jets team is extremely solid all around on offense, on defense. With Aaron Rodgers at the helm, I can't see how they don't make the playoffs, right? Maybe they don't finish first in the division, but I can't see how they don't make it in the playoffs. This Patriots team are just very good. I just really think that a lot of people are writing them off. I really think that they built together a very strong, young, fast, energetic team that I think, similar to like the Texans last year, can go on that type of a run.
Jalen Polk, is he that guy?
He's that guy. He's that guy. Also, if Drake May is bad, Joe Milton is actually insane. I'm just saying that. He's actually insane. So, he's like the next coming of Lamar Jackson, I think. But I think we say that about like every QB who knows how to scramble. So, you know.
So are your rankings for the AFC East?
Jets, Patriots, Dolphins, Bills.
Wow, absolutely wild. I have the Dolphins winning the division at 11-6 and taking the 4th seed. I have the Bills as the 6th seed at 11-6, and I have the Jets as the 7th seed at 11-6, followed by the Patriots at. Wait, let me just scroll down. Sorry, one sec. Almost there.
This
Alabama
is a
Crimson Tide,
diabolical prediction.
Georgia Bulldogs. Oh, there's the Patriots. I have the Patriots at 2-15. So yeah, I don't think this Drake
What?
May. He should have a good year.
What?
Look at the Patriots roster, and they
That's
traded.
crazy. It's a better team than
They
it was
traded
last year, and
Judon
they won
Fields.
more than 2 games.
I just don't see it. And the AFC East is stacked. Hassan Reddick ordeal aside, the Jets have an amazing defense. They worked on their offensive line. Aaron Rodgers is healthy. He's going to play at least 10 snaps this year. I think that's going to make a big difference. The Bills, yes,
Yeah.
talk. They traded Stephon Diggs. They're depleted of targets. They're depleted of offense, etc. But Josh Allen might put together a MVP caliber season just because he's going to go off. And then the Dolphins, yes, there's concerns about them defensively, but their offense is just absolutely amazing. So I have the Jets, Dolphins, and Bills all tied at 11-6. I couldn't really pick anyone really over the other, but I do have one guarantee, and that is the Patriots will be last in the AFC East and win no more than 5 games. So, yeah. Moving
You
on,
disappoint me, Raffi.
let's get into our AFC Championship predictions. I will be very boring. Like I was boring last year, and you know what? Boring last year paid great dividends. I had the Niners and the Chiefs, and look at me. I had the Niners and the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl, and look what happened. I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens, 1-2 matchup. And you know what? I have the Kansas City Chiefs going again to the Super Bowl because it's so hard.
Oh,
The Chiefs got better, Davian. They upgraded their receiving core. Rashid Rice doesn't be stupid. And then you have Xavier Worthy, I love Xavier Worthy, who's so good at the University of Texas. Deep down the
yeah,
field
he
threat.
is.
They got better. I don't know how it happened. Normally you
You're
get
so boring, Raffi.
You've won
You're
back-to-back
so
Super Bowls.
boring.
Okay, Davian, tell me why the Patriots are going to
All
play
right,
the
I'll
Bears
give
in the
you
Super Bowl.
this. I have the Texans going to the AFC Championship game, playing the Chiefs because I think somewhere along the road they lose to the Ravens. If they don't bump into the Ravens, I think it's going to be Chiefs-Texans. But in any case, it's going to be a Super Bowl where the winner will get their first ever Lombardi trophy, the Texans versus the Lions.
You know what? I vibe with that.
That's my Super Bowl
That's
pick.
exactly what we need. Two teams that were terrible a couple years ago and very directionless facing off in the Super Bowl. I'm down with it. So let's give our Super Bowl predictions now. Chiefs Lions. I'm obviously going with
Texans Lions.
I'm going with the Chiefs beating the Lions in the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, Lions fan. I really am, but
Raffi,
the
you're
Chiefs
so
got
boring.
better.
You're actually so boring, dude.
Boring. I did boring last year, and I was right,
Raffi,
David.
I think you sometimes forget we also work in the entertainment industry. Like, yes, we like to be factual. But I think you need to give the audience some entertainment.
Davian,
We might have only 3 viewers, but from those 3 viewers, let's entertain them with something.
Davian,
Not the same old boring picks of the Chiefs.
Davian, you and Theodore are the crazy, like very like deep in your reasoning, but like you guys go crazy. I am the grounded person here. I ground things. I see things the way they are, and the way things are is the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl again because they got better than this past year. And unless things go terribly wrong, which knock on wood, hopefully they don't, they're all great people for the most part, except for Rashid Rice. What are you doing? The Chiefs are gonna.
Yeah.
We had the whole Chris Jones thing last year too. We're gonna see Taylor Swift get married at the Super Bowl this year.
Raffi, if that happens, I'm gonna go back in time and make sure that those words never came out of your mouth, because if you manifested that just now, we will have serious problems, Raffi. I do not want to see Taylor Swift again at the Super Bowl. Which is not part of my prediction. I love Taylor Swift, but I just like to keep those two worlds separate. I like to keep my music with my music and my football with the football. Very simple.
Davian, I can respect that.
Well, I'm against my Super Bowl prediction, which actually makes sense. It's actually be accurate. I got the Texans taking it. This team, I really, really like this team. I think they're I can't call them an underdog because they're going to win the division. Everyone's predicting that too. But I really think they're an underdog to win the Super Bowl right now. And I think they're going to prove a lot of those people wrong. And so, Texans, man. Go, Horns, right?
Go Shrouds.
Go
Shrouds. If you know, you know.
Yeah, go Shroud.
All right, well, that'll do it for this edition of the Benchwarmer Sports Podcast. I hope you enjoyed Davian's crazy predictions, as they made this podcast a lot more entertaining. And if you were listening to my predictions, hopefully, if you're listening to this late at night, you have been put to sleep by my very bland and boring predictions. But that'll do it for this edition of the Benchwarmer Sports Podcast. Can't wait for the NFL season to start. We'll be covering it throughout the entire season, so be sure to hit that subscribe button, Follow us on TikTok as well for more memes and other videos as well. We talk football, we talk hockey, we talk about, there's a sport, we probably have a video about it. So let us know what you guys want to see going forward. And yeah, for Davian and for the rest of our crew, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you next time. See ya.
Go Patriots! Peace!